What is going on, everybody? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. All right, I was mentioning to everybody yesterday. I mentioned I was going to be out at Harris Resort out here, kind of like not too far from Temecula, and North County area. You want to call it, San Diego. I'll tell you guys a little bit about why I'm here, experience here, the whole that. So I'm in the hotel room doing the show here. Thank you for being a part of the show. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Friday, May 16th at 8 a.m. It says 8:01, but I start at 8 a.m. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. I am going to have a little bit later today as well. I think I'm still kind of figuring out the time, but it's probably going to be closer to 11 that I'm going to do MVP members show a little bit later today as well. If you're not a member, please consider it. I'll put a link in a little bit, and then we'll get a chance to connect on that. So, yeah, just out of my normal territory. Out of my normal territory. I don't mind this, by the way. I'm kind of a fan if I could be hopping around a little bit and be in some different spots. I'm all okay with that. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with jumping around here. Obviously, the more you get some partnerships and things along those lines, you could be a little bit more creative from that perspective. All right, I do got a quote for everybody. Good quote today. Solid quote today. You guys ever in a hotel room and you feel like you don't want to be too loud? That's kind of how I feel. It's kind of how I feel. Now, I'm in a good part of the hotel, so I feel like I'm good to go, but you guys know what I'm talking about. All right, here's a quote for today. Smooth seas do not make skillful sailors. Smooth seas do not make skillful sailors. I like that. All right, you need a little need a little bumpy road out there, I think what they're trying to say. Smooth seas do not make skillful sailors. You guys got anything you guys want to throw out there from a quote perspective? Every time I ask, by the way, somebody always delivers a phenomenal quote. So feel free to do so, and then we can go from there. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's take a look at a couple of the updates here. Let me start off with, let's see what we got here. We'll see a couple of the comments here. Got a couple good mornings here. Got a good morning, Slee. Good morning, cast and crew. The Sliwa show. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Let me give everyone a quick rundown of the show. Today, I'm going to tell you guys, today's going to be a very loose show. So we can kind of take today's show wherever we want. Sometimes I'll have a lot of just really specific topics that I want to get into. A lot of things that I'm like staying on course, and I'm like, hey, these are the topics I got. This is where I'm going to go. I don't really need to do that today, to be honest with you. I don't think there's anything crazy. I do obviously have a number of topics that I want to get into either way, but completely open to kind of steering this thing wherever we want to take it. We're chilling today, Friday, May 16th. What do we got? One NBA game tonight, but we're chilling today. So we're hanging out. Good morning to everybody. Just got my coffee here. Just got my coffee. Cheers to you. Be honest with everybody here. Room's badass. Very, very nice room. Very, very nice room. The little balcony area here kind of overlooks the mountains here. Not bad. Kind of peaceful, tranquil, if I can put it that way. Peaceful and tranquil. Okay, here's what we got going on for the show today. Again, I'm happy to kind of steer this thing wherever we want to go today. Nuggets survive. Game 7 coming up on Sunday. Oh, man. We'll talk a little bit about yesterday's game. I was kind of in and out of the game. I didn't get a chance to see from start to finish. I'm a little fearful for the Oklahoma City Thunder, this thing going 7. I'll be honest with everybody. There's going to be a lot of pressure on those young guns to make it happen. So that's going to be interesting how that develops. But Denver forces a game 7. Hopefully Aaron Gordon is healthy. I know a hamstring pull or something along those lines. He was grabbing at his hamstring. So we'll talk a little bit about that game. We'll talk about the matchup coming up, game 7 coming up on Sunday. That's going to be phenomenal. I think that's a 12:30 tip-off. And by the way, we're getting thin here in NBA games. NBA games, I mean, Pacers and the Wolves are kicking back waiting. Pacers and the Wolves are like, take your time. How much time you need to go finish your first round playoff or your second round playoffs? Go ahead and take your time. I don't think the Pacers and the Wolves are too worried about a game 7. I'm sure Pacers are rooting for the Celtics tonight, so that could go to 7. LeBron's time as a Laker. You know what's funny? I had this topic probably about a couple weeks ago. It was right after the Lakers were eliminated. And somebody had put out a tweet that I thought was interesting. And it just basically showed, hey, since LeBron has become a Laker, here's what they've done every single year. And it got me thinking a little bit. I'm like, all right, well, how would you I don't want to say has it been a successful tenure or not? I think when you win a championship, I don't really think you can say it has not been successful. But I think what you can ask is, did you expect more? Is it exactly what you expected? I don't think most people would have expected him still being in the NBA, 22 seasons in. So I make that as a topic today. LeBron's time as a Laker. We'll get a chance to look at that. I know people always got an opinion on Bron. There was something in Hoops Hype that talked about, I think it was an executive out there that talked about the assets that the Lakers have and the assets that teams would be interested in. And Dalton Knecht, obviously, his name came up. What want the Lakers to keep Dalton Knecht? You guys remember how popular this guy was early in the season, and then all of a sudden, nothing. Obviously we know what happened with the trade. Didn't really get any opportunities in the playoffs. So we'll hit a little bit on Dalton Knecht. I got a couple comments that I want to hit on from yesterday. Yesterday when I had Sammy on, we spent some time talking about who you were most disappointed in the playoffs. I was JJ Redick. So I got a few comments. Sometimes not everybody's going to watch the videos live. So I'll repost clips. And I got some comments in there that I want to react to. I did see something, sort of a Giannis update about what the San Antonio Spurs, kind of their mindset of what they're thinking about Giannis. Then we'll get into the weekend preview, and then we will call it a day. So thank you again for hanging out. Again, I will be doing a MVP member show. I will be doing that later today. My plan as of right now, I think, is going to be 11 a.m. I think it's going to be 11 a.m. So we'll take it from there and go from there. All right, let me take a look at some of the comments here before the show gets started, and then we'll go. All right, we got a couple of those good mornings. Slee, get LeBron off my team. Good morning, Slee. All right, let's see what else we got here. Happy morning. By the way, we'll spend some time talking about we'll definitely spend some time talking about Bron and the topic that I was talking about. Good morning, Slee. Damn, Slee. Clean shave look. Looking good, brother. I yesterday. Yeah, I had a dinner out here. There's a gal that I know. I'll give you guys kind of quick backstory why I'm here at Harris. Why I'm here at Harris Resort. Okay. Quick backstory here. When I was on 710 ESPN and I was still on the sales side, Harris was one of my accounts. And I developed this long relationship with this gal out here. She's one of the executives from the marketing team. So she's been here for a handful of years. And that kind of I went from, obviously when I started going on air, then I started doing ads and reads for Harris Resort SoCal. So kind of trying to connect, kind of put some dots together, see if there might be some opportunities on the podcast, the channel, probably more for the summer or for next season, next Lakers season. So I came out here for that. So we got a chance to grab dinner yesterday, and you got to clean it up. That's why we got it. It's not like I have that much. You just got to clean up the top of the head a little bit over here, and then we're out. That's it. That's not how easy it is. Okay, a couple of the quotes, and we can get the show started. Health is not valued till sickness comes. Damn, that's a good one. That's a good one right there. I'm here for Slee's take on Bron as a Laker. Will he be honest or cap? Just because you and I disagree doesn't mean I'm not being honest. It's my version of the story. Listening to Slee with a cup of coffee. Cheers to you, brother. Cheers to you. Okay, let's get started. Let's do a little NBA stuff here real quick. I do want to talk about Denver and the Oklahoma City Thunder. So they go to Game 7. Let's talk a little bit about that game yesterday. I am rooting for the Oklahoma City Thunder to win this series. And I'll tell you why I'm rooting for them. Not that matters, but I'm just going to give you a little bit of reasoning why. We'll get into the game, and then we'll talk about Game 7. Um, I think part of the reason for me, anytime you get new blood that has a chance to win the whole thing, legitimate chance, it's interesting to me. It's fascinating. Like I think Minnesota's an interesting team. I think Indiana's an interesting team. I mean, listen, if the Oklahoma City Thunder get past the Denver Nuggets and New York handles business against the Celtics, you have four teams that every one of them can be their own storyline. If Denver gets past and ends up winning a championship, it's like, all right, you already seen them win a championship. Give them all the credit in the world if that were to happen. But I have leaned towards I'd like to see the Thunder win. I'd like to see the Oklahoma City Thunder win this series. I want to see the Oklahoma City Thunder. Between them and Minnesota, I don't really have a preference, to be honest with you. I guess I'll just have to watch that series and see what happens. My fear for the Oklahoma City Thunder is you're going 7 games. You're at home. You've won a couple close games. Certainly they're kind of learning some things as the postseason goes. But vets versus youth in a game 7, that's my fear. If I have any fear for the Oklahoma City Thunder, part of my fear is vets versus the youth in a game 7. They never really been in this position before. Not like this. Not this stage. Not a chance to get to the Western Conference Finals. And as much as, the head coach, who's super young as well, as much as the head coach wants to prepare them for a game 7, as much as, Alex Caruso can chime in, which I think will help. There are obviously a couple of vets on that team. But for most of these guys, it's the first time they're ever going to see this. And they got to wait. Game's not until Sunday, so they got to wait 2 days here. Think about it on Friday. Think about it on Saturday. I still think I would give OKC just a slight edge in Game 7 just because the Thunder are very talented. They're very good. But I don't think anybody here would be shocked or surprised if we're sitting here and, come Sunday at 3 o'clock or 3:30, whenever that game is done, that we're talking about the Denver Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals. I don't think anybody's going to be shocked about that. Now, for yesterday's game, Denver ends up winning the game by 12. Really from I don't know what's the best way to put this, a script perspective. Teams go on runs. For the Denver Nuggets, they went on their run in the third quarter and then kind of just held on to the lead after that. Shea still dropped 32. Chet gave you 19 and 11. But there was not the real balance that I think the Oklahoma City Thunder need. And then I think for Denver, it's like, look, you got Jokic, who's going to get basically his triple-double every single game. Jamal Murray was phenomenal as well. The only piece that I think really is a question mark, they got Julian Strawther as well, comes off the bench and was phenomenal. That kind of came out of nowhere. The only piece that I would say, Christian Brown was really good as well, is the question mark about Aaron Gordon. Now, Aaron Gordon said he's going to be good to go. He'll be ready to go for Game 7, but some hamstring tightness, something that he pulled up on. That's the only thing I think you could really look at and ask the question of, if Aaron Gordon's not ready to go healthy, and is the Aaron Gordon that they need to go win Game 7, I definitely don't feel good about Denver winning. If he's Aaron Gordon, then Denver's got as much of a shot as anybody, obviously, to win this game, to win Game 7, and then figure it out from there. So I do think that this thing's going to be phenomenal. I do think that, anytime you get a Game 7, I do think anytime that you put yourself in a position where we can watch two teams on a Sunday afternoon do what they do, that's as good as it gets. So I'm looking forward to that. You got that coming up on Sunday, and you got two teams. It's been a phenomenal series. So Denver had to go 7 against the Clippers. They're going to go 7 against the Oklahoma City Thunder. The only difference is going to be they're not going to be at home. They're going to be playing in OKC, and we'll see. Obviously, we'll see what happens from there. Okay, let me look at a couple comments, and then we'll get into some of these other topics. Will be the lowest rated finals. You could be right. You could be right. I mean, if the finals have, just as an example, let's say the Knicks aren't in it. Let's say it's Pacers and the Thunder. Yeah, not exactly going to be the most exciting, from a national perspective. I'll still watch it. For me, it doesn't really care what market is in it. Is it good basketball or is it not? For me, yes, you want to see stars, you want to see players. I mean, hell, if it's, I'm just going to use that as an example. Listen, if it's Knicks and the Thunder, no, you're going to get people watch it because of the New York market. If it's Knicks and throw another team out there, if it's the Denver Nuggets or the Timberwolves or something along those lines, I still think you're going to get people watch it just because of that. Now the question is going to be, how big are these stars? Is Anthony Edwards big enough to pull people into the finals? He might be. Is Tyrese Halliburton? Probably not. Is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander? I'd like to say yes, but again, probably not. He doesn't get the amount of pub that he probably deserves. But what are you supposed to do? Like I think I'm assuming this comment will be the lowest rated finals. Obviously that's a knock at the NBA finals and that's a knock at the teams that are in it. But guys, you can't just have, there's a number of teams that are not in big markets and maybe don't have these ultra superstars. You still want parity in your league. Like the way I look at the NBA, to see that the playoffs start and there's 5 or 6 teams that could come out, I think that's impressive. I think that's exactly what you want. I think you want cities out there that are like, all right, we're coming into mid-April, playoffs are about to start, and we at least got a shot. I think that's good for the league. I don't think it's a bad thing. Listen, a lot of people, I get it if you disagree, because you're going to say, look, you go look at the ratings, and those ratings are, they're actually telling you it's not good for the league. I guess what I'm saying is it's good for the individual teams and the markets. We'll see what happens from there. What's the famous quote from David Stern? What was he asked? He was asked a question about who was his dream NBA Finals matchup, and he said Lakers versus Lakers. When I was at 7'10", I remember Travis would always say that. I'm like, that's a baller line right there. Who would you like in the play, or who's your best NFL or NBA Finals matchup? Lakers versus the Lakers. If your commissioner saying that says something. Okay, I'm gonna jump topics here. I did mention I want to talk a little bit about Bron, and I want to talk a little bit about his tenure as a Laker. So we still got Lakers' best assets, some reaction to some other videos. Giannis, I want to talk about. But let's take a second here and let's talk a little bit about Bron. All right, LeBron's time as a Laker. I want to ask. Here's what I'm curious of for those that are tuned in. Has his time as a Laker met your expectations? Has it surpassed your expectations? Are you disappointed in his time as a Laker? I'm curious. Take out all the other players. LeBron's tenure as a Laker. LeBron came to the Lakers it was 2018 is when he came to the Lakers. And then I'm going to give you the result every single year since he's been a Laker. And what's crazy about it is there's either wild highs or lows. I mean, wild lows. I mean, it's kind of one or the two there. I don't really feel like there's much of an in-between here. When you think of LeBron as a Laker and his time with the Lakers, has it been successful? Have you been disappointed? Or has it been, all right, that's kind of, maybe exactly what I expected? He comes in 2018, 2019 season. That first season, everybody knows Lakers missed the playoffs. All right, so his first year as a Laker, he gets the groin injury. If you guys remember, that was against the Golden State Warriors. I want to say that was on Christmas, and that kind of derailed the Lakers season. Misses the playoffs. 2020, Lakers have one of the best rosters in the NBA. They had a huge challenge right before COVID stopped. I think they had a weekend where they had the Bucks and they had the Clippers, and those were two of the other top teams in the NBA. Lakers beat both of them. Not too long after that, COVID hits. NBA stops. They restarted in Orlando. That squad comes together. That's one of the more underrated teams if you look at how good that team was. Lakers win a championship in Orlando. So you got missed playoffs and you got win a championship in a 2-year span. You can't get any more wild of a swing on that. Obviously, we know what happened. Lakers traded for Anthony Davis. They brought in other players. They had a lot of vets. Rondo, Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee. a Danny Green, go down the list. They had drafted some good players that really started producing. KCP, Caruso, Kuzma. That squad was loaded. Missed the playoffs, win an NBA championship. The following year, you're eliminated in the first round. Anthony Davis gets hurt against the Suns. The following year, you miss the playoffs. That's part of the Westbrook debacle. The following year, you get to the Western Conference Finals, kind of throw everybody off surprise. You get swept. Then eliminated in the first round, LeBron's time as a Laker. How do you guys view LeBron's time as a Laker? I'm not looking at the comments here. I got just my notes that are covering it. Sometimes I don't want comments to kind of sway me, or I like to kind of give a little bit more of my raw opinion, and then I'll start looking at the comments and we'll go from there. If you'd have told me that LeBron was going to be a Laker for 7 years, and by the way, that's probably going to be, 8 years, might even be 9 years. We'll see how much longer LeBron goes. If you'd have told me LeBron was going to be a Laker for 7 years, and in those 7 years, you said he was going to win an NBA championship, I find it very, very difficult to say that was not successful. Like, how do I bitch and complain about that? Did he win you a championship? Yes or no? He got you one. Okay. And I don't know if the longer he plays, the worse it makes the resume look, because the longer he plays, technically, we should be appreciating that this man is still doing it in the league for as long as he's been doing it. Okay, let me take a step back here real quick. So if I told you coming in, LeBron was going to be a Laker for 7 years, he won one NBA championship, he missed the playoffs twice, also got to a Western Conference Finals, and then he was also eliminated in the first round 3 different times. Be like, damn, there is no consistency. There is no sustained success for his time with a Laker. Either you got these wild highs or you got these crazy lows. I can't look at someone's tenure with the Lakers winning a championship and saying that that's not successful. You want a chip. Now, what I can tell you is I don't think it measures up to some of these other Laker greats, and I don't even think it's close, right? Like, if I say Shaquille O'Neal, well, Shaq was with the Lakers for 8 years and won 3 NBA championships and made it to the NBA Finals 4 out of 5 years. Obviously, that's like a wild swing there. You cannot have that conversation. If I told you, I'm going to give you some other Laker, because here's the one thing I think with Laker championships, usually they come in bunches. There really isn't just this one on its own. Magic and Kareem and James Worthy, I'm not even going to talk about them because that 80s era, they're basically in the finals every single year. They win 5 NBA championships. I'm going to leave that alone. I'm not going to talk about Kobe. If I say just Kobe and Pau, then I would be looking at a 3-year stretch where they made the NBA Finals 3 times and won 2 NBA championships. Okay, well, that's, obviously that's wildly better over that stretch than what LeBron was able to do in his career. LeBron with the Lakers has really kind of developed something that's never really happened in most Laker eras. He only got one. Now, any other franchise out there would say, what the hell are you talking about? He only got one. What I'm talking about is if you compare his era, his time, to some of the other eras, I mean, even if you take his era in Miami, that's more Laker-esque, where you win 2 championships, you get to the finals, multiple times, whatever the case is. That never happened in LA. And it may never happen. I think, would anybody be shocked if you said LeBron never makes it to the finals again? No, I don't think anybody would be surprised or shocked by that. I think that could be very, very, that's much more likely than I think Lakers making an NBA Finals run. The West is competitive. He's now going to be coming into his 23rd season. The roster's got flaws. It's going to take a lot of time to kind of figure all that out. Probably the best chance for the Lakers to eventually get to an NBA Finals is in a couple years and LeBron's gone and they found another superstar to pair him up with Luka. That might be their best. That might be their best time. So overall, by the way, there's only one other era that you can look at and say, well, Jerry West only won 1 championship with the Lakers. True, but Jerry West was in the finals was he in the finals 9 times or something like that? And he lost a couple in game sevens. And Jerry West also has the history with the Lakers of being arguably the greatest executive in the history of sports. So I don't even want to compare that era because Jerry West was always knocking on the door as well. That was when Jerry West and Wilt won it together. So overall, I look at Bron. I look at his time with the Lakers. Has he met my expectations as his tenure with the Lakers? I would say that I expected more because he got that championship so early, but he's also met my expectations. If you told me 7 years ago Bron was going to come to the Lakers, you're going to have these highs, you're going to have these lows, but he won an NBA championship, would you take it? I would take it. I also look at what the Lakers were before LeBron came. I also look at how much they were struggling. I also look at how they were trying to figure out life after Kobe, when Kobe retired. And I think as I sit here today and I kind of put all that together, I would say, yeah, his tenure as a Laker has definitely disappointments, definitely has times where, you feel like he influenced things that didn't go the right way. But I also feel like he influenced things like, hey, we're bringing Anthony Davis over here and you win an NBA championship. Maybe a little bit of bad luck in between, but that happens in sports. I think he's met my expectations, but I'm on like that border of it'd have been nice to get more. It would have been nice to see them in the finals, at least one other time that you could look at and say it would have been nice to have some sustained success. Him and Anthony Davis together hey, Lakers were in the finals 2 out of 3 years, and they were also in the Western Conference Finals. And you knew if you were going to get a chip, you had to go through the Lakers. But it wasn't. It was like competitive, not competitive at all. A little bit of competitive again, not competitive at all. So these just kind of wild swings all over the place. Okay, let me look at some of the comments. Let's see what we got with some of the comments here. Let's see what we got here. I compared LeBron's 1 chip with the Lakers to 2 of Kobe's last 2 chips because he had less talent than Kobe. Jason, I don't think so. No. I actually really don't look at it that way. Let me go back. Listen, I'm going to give you some of the talent that was on this Lakers team. Now, you can make an argument and say, hey, the front office also didn't help with some things. Anthony Davis getting injured, that obviously has a lot to do with it as well. But let me just give you an example, Jason. Tell me where this squad is not dominant. Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, LeBron, Anthony Davis, Danny Green, KCP, Alex Caruso, Kyle Kuzma. I mean, I know I'm missing guys. I'm off the top of my head. I know I'm missing guys. Rajon Rondo. They had a squad. I think that 2020 championship I think that team is so underrated. That team was stacked. You had depth, you had size, you had all-stars, you had MVPs. I mean, you had literally everything you could. You had Hall of Famers. Think of everything. Now, the following year, if you want to make the argument and say that, hey, the Montrezl Harrell, Marc Gasol, Dennis Schroeder, they should have went out and got those guys. They should have kept that roster the same. I'm okay. I could listen to that argument, but how are we ever going to know? AD got injured. So, there's nothing you could do there. AD got injured. Jerry West, only player in NBA history to win MVP on the losing team. I wonder how he felt about that. I wonder if he's primarily in his head like, yeah, I'm good. You can keep that MVP. I'd rather have that championship. Respect LeBron as a longevity player, but as a Laker, I'm disappointed over 7 years, and I can't wait for him to leave. I will tell you this. There's something, and this isn't disrespect towards Bron. There is something about how do you truly, truly start rebuilding your team around Luka with LeBron still there? How do you do that? And I don't think the Lakers will actually be able to really, really do that until Bron is gone. Again, it's not a knock on Bron. It's just kind of the reality. In order for you to turn the page to the next chapter, you got to actually turn the page. And the Lakers are like folding the page. They're this, they're that. I get it. I mean, I understand it. And Bron is still, wildly he's still wildly productive. Okay, is he going to have games where he's not all that great? Sure, sure. But I think for the most part, more nights than not, Bron is still productive. I like LeBron, but every year he plays, it diminishes his career. If it's about winning, if it's not about winning, it enhances his legacy. Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one because I think you could look at LeBron's career and you could say to yourself, all right, he's going to have played 22 plus years, probably 23, 24 years. He's going to break all these records and have these in the history, in the stats from, all-time history. Every time you're looking at most assists ever, most rebounds ever, most points ever, most this ever, most games played, most double-doubles, he's going to kind of be on top of all of these. And I think for him, I think he's reached a point where, hey, if I'm still able to come out, I'm still able to be productive, I'm still able to be a really, really good basketball player, and at the same time, I could break all these records in the process, that's probably how he's looking at it. But I know what you're saying from a championship perspective, probably a little bit different. We are better. We are a better team than Denver and the Wolves, but we have LeBron. That's why we are 2-12 last 3 playoff runs. I don't really understand that one. If the argument is, by the way, I do feel this. This is, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but maybe this is more just. I think this is more. Maybe people are just louder anytime this is the topic, but I definitely feel like from a Laker, just a Laker perspective, I think Laker fans have been like, all right, let's turn the page, especially now with Luka there. But I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, or at least not this upcoming year. Yeah, I expected more championships. This is the least amount of championships for a Lakers superstar era in a long time. That's why I was bringing up the other ones. It's just unique. It's unique to it's very unique to Lakers history. Now, listen, if you did it in Milwaukee, that's it. You're a legend. You're good. If you did it in Denver, legendary. Cleveland, legendary. Do it with the Lakers, and you're like, yeah, you're just kind of one of those other players, believe it or not. That's how it is. All right, let's get a couple more in here. Let's see what we got here. Bron is washed up. Let's be real. He's not washed up. He really isn't. Now, if you told me LeBron didn't have to make $55 million, I don't think he's washed up. I think LeBron is still playing as I don't even know how you want me to describe it. I mean, I mentioned this when they were playing the Boston Celtics earlier this year. I think he's probably top 10 at that time before he had his injury. He's not washed. He's just not. As much as maybe people want to believe that, he's not. Now, is he the same player? Of course he's not. Nobody's saying that he is. All right, let's get a couple more in here, and then we'll go from there. Bron era is over in LA. I know people want to say it is, but I think we all know it's not. He's still going to be around for a while. He will be. At least I believe so. At least for one more year, and then we'll go from there. Okay, let's do this here. I got a couple supers here that I'm going to get to here real quick, and then we'll kind of keep going on the topic. I want to start talking about some of the Laker assets and everything else. I did mention, from some of the supers I'll get to in just a second. Before I do, I got to give a quick shout out here. Shout out to my guy, Brad Wallace of the Wallace firm. Just kind of give you guys just a quick backstory here. If you are in need of an injury attorney, I hope you're not. I hope you don't run into something in your life where you say, oh my gosh, this happened or that happened at work, or I have a family member that's dealing with this. But things happen in life. If you or someone you know was in a serious injury or wrongful death case, I just want everybody to know, if you're in the state of California, I can make an introduction to one of the best in the business. Brad Wallace of the Wallace firm has ran his practice for about 10 years. I've known him personally for about 5 years. There's a great example of a case that he was involved in for one of his clients. The way a lot of this works, if you get into a situation, a lot of these insurance companies, they just want to settle. They're trying to give you pennies on the dollar of what you actually deserve. That's not how Brad works. Brad took the case all the way to trial. He was going up against Home Depot. Think about the Goliath of Home Depot. But it doesn't matter who you're going up with or going up against. What matters is, do you have an injury attorney that has your best interest, that prepares properly? I've been to his office, and they have like these mock trials. Literally, they are working as if they're in a courthouse, and he just wants to get his team as prepared as possible so his client has a real chance of winning. In this specific case against Home Depot, the jury delivered a $4.6 million verdict on behalf of the Wallace firm's client and found Home Depot responsible for nearly $3 million of that amount. It's a great example. We have a URL here, wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com/Sliwa, or click on the link in my description. Get a free consultation if you use that link. And I could also make a personal introduction if you want a personal introduction. So shout out to Brad Wallace. Shout out to the Wallace firm for being a partner here and certainly supporting the channel. All right, let's get to some of these supers here real quick. Got people throwing money my way. I'm like, just hold up. Just wait here for a quick second. No, but Al, we're giving you money. Okay, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. All right, I'm ready. Let's see a couple of these. Slee, most true Laker fans want James gone. What does that mean when somebody says that? What does that mean? Most true Laker fans want James gone. What does it mean? Like, I kind of understand what it means, but but I don't know if I fully understand what that comment means. Do people, you can't just kind of merge the two together. You can't just say that you have, you got LeBron, you got the Lakers. LeBron has been, took a franchise that really honestly was kind of going nowhere before he came here. We can't just kind of give credit to both. Now, if you want to say, listen, you had that, his best days are behind him, and let's move on, that part I can understand. I do have a little bit of I got a curiosity, no question about it, of what's life after Bron. Now, I think when Luka came in, I had more curiosity again. It's like, what can these two do together? I didn't think LeBron and AD were going to win another one together, so it was like, all right, let's see what life is after that. But the most true Laker fans want James gone. I think the right comment is, whatever gives the Lakers the best chance to win is what a Laker fan should want. That really should be it. If LeBron being on the Lakers this upcoming year with Luka and they get a big man and whatever, they make some trades, that's helping you win an NBA championship. Shouldn't that be the only thing that matters? First 2 years, cancel each other out, then what? Wildly wrong. Wildly wrong. What do you mean first 2 years cancel each other out? Yeah, in 1 year you didn't make the playoffs. Yeah, the other year you won an NBA championship. There is no such thing as canceling something out when you win an NBA championship. Yeah, I don't even know what to say that one. You can't cancel out a championship. You can't say, well, you didn't make the playoffs here and you won a championship here. Those do not go together. Teams will go 5-6 years of not winning or of not making the playoffs. Do you think they're going to follow that up with 5-6 years of winning an NBA championship and saying, hey, those cancel each other out? If not for Anthony Davis, Lakers don't win one. Are we taking credit away from LeBron? You better be giving LeBron all that credit, because it's also LeBron that brought Anthony Davis to the Lakers. Let's get another one here. I think a better question would be, what would it have been like if LeBron committed to playing with the young stars that were here already? I think it just would have been a matter of time until you traded them. You guys got to understand something with some of the younger players. Eventually, you're going to have to pay them. B.I. was going to eventually get paid. Lonzo was eventually going to get paid. Julius Randle was eventually going to get paid. These guys' rookie contracts at some point they're going to expire. And then you got to figure out how much to pay them and if you want to pay them, and if there's value in paying them or if there's no value in paying them. So I think the one thing I would say about that, I would say that no matter how you look at, by the way, it's wild if people think they wanted the Lakers not to trade for Anthony Davis because you won an NBA championship off of it. So that part to me is a little bit wild there. By the way, I don't mind all the you could disagree with me all you want, but I got to make sure that I'm obviously honest too. If you do disagree, that I got to make sure I'm honest too. All right, give me 1 second. Excuse me, but it's live. At least I muted it. I was able to kind of coordinate that one. I hate to do that, but just stuffy. All right, Jay Smooth. LeBron started with the Lakers at 35. Kobe was broken at 35. It's true. It's true with a lot of players. At past 35, forget it. It's done. Your career is completely done. He's 40. He'll be 41 in December, and he's still going. I think that's good consideration there. Okay. I appreciate all the supers. Thank you very much for doing that. Thank you all for chiming in. That topic actually went a lot longer than I thought. I don't even know if I needed it to go that long, but I thought there was some interesting comments there. And I think for me, to be honest with you, this is how I think my vibe is. I think people appreciate LeBron. I think people there is some appreciation for him. I think the people that don't like LeBron don't like the amount of control that he has. And I think most people at this point are saying, cool, LeBron, we've seen it. We're ready to move on. That's my personal opinion. My personal opinion on how I feel like Laker fans look at LeBron. That's how I look at it. All right. But I also do think, with all that being said, probably get ready for at least one season with LeBron as a Laker. There was an article out there. Excuse me. There was an article out there, Lakers' best assets. And I grabbed this off of Hoops Hype. I'm not sure if they grabbed this somewhere else, but according to rival scouts and executives, the Lakers' best assets minus Reeves. I don't know why they put minus Reeves there. I don't know why you would not put Reeves there. No. One of the best asset that the Lakers have is Reeves. It is. According to rival scouts executive, the Lakers' best assets are their 2031 first-round pick, second-year wing Dalton Knecht, and a bunch of expiring contracts. I'm going to read a couple things from here. Some combination of them would be a must in any deal the team would make for a center. The expiring contracts they have, if I remember them all off the top of my head, Rui Hachimura is an expiring contract. Gabe Vincent is an expiring contract. Maxi Kleba is an expiring contract. So you got a few contracts in there. Some combination of them would be a must in any deal the team would make for a center. And then they talk about Indiana center Miles Turner is set to be a free agent, but he was already out of the Lakers' price range before the Pacers' current run to the Eastern Conference. That price range obviously is only going up. Brook Lopez is 37 and already had a one-year stint with the Lakers. Clint Capella could be an option depending on how the market reacts, but there are questions around the league about whether he's still a full-time starter. Assets that the Lakers have. If you're going to talk about assets, you got to talk about Austin Reeves. I don't want to hear anything about, Austin Reeves not being a part of a potential asset for the Lakers to improve the roster. But the topic is not about Austin Reeves. The topic is about Dalton Knecht. What do you guys think about Dalton Knecht? There's been so much attention that's gone towards all these other players. There's been so much attention that is focused on Luka, and it's focused on Bron, and it's Austin Reeves and JJ Redick and this. I think, lost. You guys remember early in the season? I'm not kidding. Some of the videos that I feel like people were most hyped up about was Dalton Knecht. Early in the season, when this dude kind of came out the game, remember when Lakers got him, they drafted him number 17, and a lot of people were like, oh my God, I can't believe this dude fell at number 17. A lot of people were excited about it. A lot of people were saying to themselves, like, Lakers got the steal of the draft. I heard some people saying, all these other idiot GMs that didn't draft Dalton Knecht, and he fell to the Lakers. He comes out the gate. He had some monster games. Dalton Knecht had some monster games. I know there's one game he hit 9 threes. I know there's another game he had 35, 37 points, something along those lines. And then things got really quiet for Dalton. He went a couple months where he was struggling, couldn't find a shot, lost more time from the rotation. Hey, it happens. You're a rookie. Nobody's going to be in a position where you're playing perfect ball as a rookie. But then, we all know what happens. He's part of a trade, and the trade doesn't happen, and he comes back. And I'm sure there's a piece of him that thought when he was getting traded, like, I'm about to get some real minutes in Charlotte. Comes back to the Lakers. That's not the case. And then they really didn't use him after that. Certainly didn't have value sitting there in the playoffs. I think he has value in the league. It's going to be a very interesting summer for him because I think it's just assumed Dalton Knecht is just going to be a trade piece that's used and he's gone. And, what would it look like if the one issue with the Lakers, and I think this just kind of goes with the team and the squad and the organization, things are never allowed to marinate. You can't just allow things to marinate. For the Lakers, everything is like, got to win now, got to win now, got to win now. And I think in the process of trying to win now, you really kill any sustainability. You really kill any building. I use the topic that I had with LeBron. There's such wild swings of where your team is. And I get it. It's the Lakers, so there is pressure. I think Lakers get a little bit of a bad rap. I think Laker fans get a bad rap. I'll tell you what I mean by that. They get a bad rap because everyone always says, "Oh, they're unappreciative and they think they're supposed to win a championship every year." Okay, I get it. I see where that comes from. But I think if you had a product that Laker fans are like, "All right, it's not going to be this year, but damn, we're going to be pretty good in 2 to 3 years." And you could see it coming. And there's just like this slow development of where it's going to. I think Laker fans would be like, okay, this is interesting where it's going. Don't get me wrong. I know there's going to be Laker fans say, trade the whole farm, go get that player. I get it. That's kind of been how the Lakers have operated. I don't think Dalton Knecht's going to be a Laker. I think there's a good chance by the time this summer's done, that 2031 pick is gone. Dalton Knecht is gone. They already traded both of those and got him back because of the rescinded trade. So obviously they're not worried about doing it. But the Knecht piece to me is just kind of another example of the zero amount of patience that anybody has to try to let something marinate. And I'm not disagreeing that they shouldn't do that. But do you guys remember early in the season, Dalton Knecht, that dude was getting crazy love. And he was balling out. And then it was like, don't touch this guy, let this guy develop, all that other stuff. Obviously, all that went away. But that man had a moment in the season where he was phenomenal. And now the only conversation that we're going to have about him is he's got to go. Let me look at a couple of the comments here. I'm just curious to see if, what Laker fans think about Dalton Knecht. But I'm telling you, some of the videos I was posting early in the season, some of the most interactive videos that I was getting was on Dalton Knecht. I'm like, what the hell just happened here? Lakers got LeBron, AD, Max Christie, all these other guys. I remember being at a game early in the season. And Max Christie and Dalton Knecht were both warming up. And sometimes, I'll take some video of one of these players. I'll put them on social. And it was like Max Christie, who was not playing well at that time. It was like, Max, can you get out of the way? You're in my Dalton shot. Like that's how well Dalton Knecht was playing. That's how good Dalton Knecht was early in the season. And I think now it's just kind of a matter of time until he's gone. I do think there were some people that did not like that Dalton Knecht didn't get playing time in the playoffs. I think there were some people that were not crazy about Dalton Knecht or JJ Redick not finding opportunities for him. I get that. Like I think there's a little bit of that. I just my hesitation on that was, if you think Dalton Knecht's going to come save you in the playoffs versus the Minnesota Timberwolves, then your squad's got some real problems. I blame JJ for the Knecht hype. He kept saying he was the steal of the draft. But a lot of people kept saying that. That wasn't just, JJ saying that. I think a lot of people said that. Dalton started missing, and he was dead to them. Yeah, a little bit of that. Let's see. Feels like Knecht barbecue chicken on defense. I think that's what you're trying to say there. Dalton will rise elsewhere. Yeah, I think sometimes, honestly, you get into a situation in a predicament where all of a sudden you're on the Lakers and the cameras are on you. That's why I thought, I wonder if there was a part of him that thought, hey, I'm going to Charlotte. This might be a good thing for me to go to Charlotte. Let me get under the radar and let me just work on my game. That's almost impossible to do as a young Laker. That literally is almost impossible to do. Okay, I did mention this. I had some reaction from yesterday's video, and then I want to get into some Giannis news. We'll do a little weekend preview, and then we'll call it a day. I am going to be doing. I mentioned it, and we'll talk about it in just a little bit. I'll put a link here if you want to be a member. We'll do a member show coming up at 11 a.m. today. Okay, so let me look at one thing here. I'm going to share my video with everybody real quick. When I put this out yesterday, I thought it was actually an interesting topic. Who was most disappointing in the playoffs? I got to be honest. So many people that just kind of focus specifically on JJ Redick. That's where I was. I'm going to show you guys this here. Let me get to it. JJ Redick and his rotation. So yesterday I had a topic that, you look at Austin Reeves in the playoffs, look at JJ, look at some Dorian Finney-Smith. Some people could say Rob Pelinka was disappointing in the playoffs because he didn't put the roster together that he needed to in order to see the Lakers have success. Here are some of the comments where I think I said JJ Redick to me was most disappointing. I know there's a lot of people that ended up putting comments on here, and I unfortunately didn't get a chance to see them until after I posted the video. Reeves disappointed the most. JJ Redick and his rotations. I do not understand it. He had a top-ranked defense and an offense humming on all cylinders and then drastically messed with the rotations. He did, or just didn't even rotate any people in. Jay didn't play those energy guys because he prioritized offense over defense, and he believes they can't score at a high level like our big three. In game 4, I didn't like the fact that JJ played the same guys for the entire second half. It would have made sense to play them the entire fourth quarter. Instead, that's actually a good point right there. Alex Len let us down. Alex Len didn't let me down because I never had any expectations for Alex Len. For those who had expectations on Alex Len, God bless you. Why is it a surprise Redick looked ill-prepared when he had zero coaching experience in the NBA? Couple more here. Game 3, Luka comes in impaired after giving away game 1, fell out, and that's all she wrote. Let's see what we got here. About time we need to let JJ, the podcaster, hear it how horrible he was. Here's one. Somebody disagreed with me. See, I'm a big fan of the show. I understand your JJ Redick point, but I disagree with your reasons for it. While walking out of the press conference, it's not ideal. It isn't as big of a deal as you and the national media made it out to be about playing more guys. I think he could have tried to get the guys a couple of minutes of rest, but let's not act like he wanted to see Kareem Abdul-Hayes pick up a tech and foul number 2. Yeah, listen, the presser thing bothered me more than anything else. It bothered me because I think it showed just this wild immaturity for him. I think there was an insecurity that he showed. That's why it bothered me. It didn't really bother me for any other reason. I don't really care that he got up and left. I care and he got up. It felt like to me it was the kid in the cul-de-sac that didn't get what he wanted, so he grabbed his basketball and took off. And everybody else is like, we need the ball to play. That's why it bothered me. I thought JJ had a really good season. I thought JJ was phenomenal during the regular season. JJ helped the Lakers win 50 games and lock up a number 3 seed and have home court in the first round of the playoffs. JJ had a lot to do with that. JJ was juggling injuries, trades, rescinded trades. He was juggling everything. He made it work. In the playoffs, yeah, he got, he got ran circles against. We'll see what he does when he comes back. We'll see eventually when this team comes back, what's it look like. But, I do agree. I think people said, man, that him walking out of that interview really bothered you. Why did it bother you that much? It bothered me because he was showing weakness. You don't got to show weakness. What are you showing weakness for? I think that's why it bothered me, because I think a lot of other coaches would have said, they would have just kind of had a bullshit answer and just would have said, yeah, kind of at the time it felt like the right thing to do. When the season's over and the dust settles, I'll look at it, and me and the coaching staff, when we all work together, we'll figure it out. That's it. Instead, it was like, here's a clip. JJ's going back and forth with it, and I'm walking out, and I'm taking my ball with me. I don't know. That's how I looked at it. Okay, last topic I want to get into, and then we'll get into the weekend preview. If you guys got some questions or if you guys got comments, I'll try to read a couple more before we get out of here. Let me read this here real quick. This was coming from, let me see if I can find this. Did I lose this? No, I got it here. New York Times. New York Times. A couple articles here from the New York Times on Giannis. Most of the sources I talked to around the league, again, this is the New York Times. This is a couple hours ago, so this is an article from this morning. Most of the sources I talked to around the league think the most likely outcome is that the Spurs do just that. Stand pat and pick at number 2. Another option should be on the table, though, if it presents itself. It should come as no surprise that the main name league sources bring up as a potential Spurs trade target is Milwaukee Bucks superstar Giannis Antetokounmpo. I don't think, I think for the San Antonio Spurs, they're not going to come out and say, we're trading the number 2 pick and letting everybody know. I don't think that's going to happen. But if Giannis is on the board and the Bucks want that number 2 pick, you're going to tell me the San Antonio Spurs are not going to make that trade? Here's another one that I'm reading here. Again, New York Times. If the Spurs paired Giannis and Wemby, they would be the favorite to win the title next year. This is an Eastern Conference executive that didn't put their name to it. They'd have 2 guys who might be top 5 players in the league next year on the same team, plus they fit. They'd have a dominant defense that no one would be able to score against inside, and they'd have the ability to play 5 out in an even more devastating way than the Bucks did with Brook Lopez if they surrounded Giannis and Wemby with the right wings. Doesn't it feel like if Giannis gets traded, there's only one spot that he's going to go, that he's going to end up with the San Antonio Spurs? I feel that. Maybe I'm wrong. I kind of hope I'm wrong just because of the competition and what that's going to mean for the Western Conference. But it feels that way. It feels of all the teams that are out there, and I get it, there's going to be so many different people that come out eventually and put out comments and, kind of put themselves in a position to try to see if they can make a trade. But that one's a tough one. That one's a tough one. Going into the playoffs without a starting center is a joke. Then removing the only lob threat and playable center altogether was a weird decision. I agree. T-Wolves are a damn good team. I'm a chill on blaming everybody under the sun and give the T-Wolves credit. We could do both. I think you could do both. Let's see what else we got here. JJ responded like he was appalled at being asked the question, the audacity of these reporters to do their job. Even if you don't like the question, I think there's a way to dance around it. He did not want to dance around it. Okay. If you guys got some more comments, throw them in. We're going to get to we do this obviously every Friday. We do the weekend preview. Every Monday we do the weekend recap. So let's do a little bit of the weekend preview here. NBA, 2 games. All right, this is what we got going on this weekend. This is what I'm going to be focused on. Friday, tonight, Game 6 between the New York Knicks and the Boston Celtics. Knicks, don't screw this up. Friday night game, 5 o'clock, Madison Square Garden, a chance to go to the Eastern Conference Finals. Don't screw this up, Knicks. If they lost tonight, they got a legitimate chance of losing the series. I think they win tonight. I think that's what everybody's expecting. I think that's what everybody thinks is going to happen. But Celtics, Knicks, tonight, chance to go obviously to the Eastern Conference Finals. No Jason Tatum. And we'll see if the New York Knicks are able to close it out. What they lose by 23 yesterday, that kind of threw everybody off. But tonight, it's a big time game. and let's see what they're able to do. But if they lose tonight, I got some concerns for the New York Knicks. Sunday, we talked about it coming up on Sunday. Nuggets and the Thunder. 68-win Thunder team, 7-game set against the Denver Nuggets. Denver obviously already won 7 games to get to this position by beating the Clippers. And here are the vets. Here's the team that has been there before, has won a championship. Nikola Jokic, 1 MVP, 3-time MVP versus Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who most likely will be this year's MVP. So Friday and Sunday, you got NBA games, nothing coming up on Saturday. I don't even think they've put any of the other schedule out yet. Maybe they have. No, they have. So Wednesday, it looks like no matter what, Tuesday, the Western Conference Finals will start. So either that game, Timberwolves, it's either going to be at the Thunder or at the Nuggets. And then Wednesday, they'll start Wednesday they would start the Eastern Conference Finals. So a little bit of a preview there from that perspective. One thing just to keep in mind, MLB-wise, kind of keep it again. I've told everybody we'll just kind of keep things in the NL West. Mariners and the Padres. That's actually a good series. Mariners 23-19, Padres 27-15. That game will start. Mets and the Yankees. Soto's first trip back to New York at Yankee Stadium. I'll get back to that in just a second. Let me finish the NL West. Rockies and the Diamondbacks. Angels and the Dodgers. Who does San Francisco have? San Francisco has the A's. NL West still kind of, doing its thing. Dodgers, I think, a 1-game lead over the Padres. Shohei, a couple home runs yesterday. That guy's just a freak of nature. So those are some of the matchups that are coming up this weekend. So Angels and the Dodgers, A's and the Giants, Rockies and the Diamondbacks, and then I mentioned the Padres and the Mariners. Juan Soto, I don't know if you guys saw this. This is actually a good quote. I like this. So obviously Soto spurns the Yankees to go to the Mets. They play each other. What was his quote that I saw here? It's going to be 50,000 against 1. They're going to try to get on me. It's part of it. Whatever they do, they have a right to do it. Soto obviously left the Yankees, got 15 years, $765 million to join the Mets. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun to watch. Those are always fun storylines. And the Mets are balling too. What are the Mets? Yeah, they're 28-16 too. I mean, there's about 3-4 teams right now in the NL. What you just figure when the dust settles, Philly's going to be there. Obviously you got kind of the regular teams that are going to be there that are all balling out and are 13, 14, 15 games over 500. Okay. That is all I got for today. Let me see if I could get a couple more comments here. I'm going to give everyone let me do this real quick as well. If you're not a member, please consider being a member. Would greatly, greatly appreciate you being a member. I'll put the link right here. And about 11 a.m. today, I am here's a link right here if you want to be a member. It's $3 a month. It's a great way to support the channel, and I do MVP member videos as well. So if you guys are not a member and you'd like to consider it, please consider it. The weekend preview, of course, is presented by the Wallace firm. For more information on how they can potentially help you, go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. If you or someone you know has been in a serious situation, reach out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm, and we got a link in the description as well. All right, I think we are. I think we're all done. $700 million is appalling for a hitter. It's okay for a hitter and a pitcher, though. Wink. Yeah, they're just on 2 different levels. They're just on 2 different levels. Now, granted, I think Soto's deal is 15 years. Soto a 15-year deal? I think so. But they're on 2 different levels. And Soto's amazing, but there's only one, literally one of one when it comes to Shohei. All right, my people, I appreciate it. Thank you very much for the week. Thank you very much for hanging out all week. Looking forward to catching up on these NBA games on Monday, see what happens. Any interesting stories that come out Laker-esque, awesome. We'll get into that as well, so I'm looking forward to that. So I hope you guys have a great weekend. Members, 11 a.m. Come hang out at 11 a.m. I'm looking forward to chatting with you guys then, and we'll go from there. Thank you, everybody. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Friday and a good weekend.